Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Your gun doctor here. Today we're going to talk about absolute no recoil guns, and we're not talking about YouTubers putting no recoil laser beam into any gun. No, we're talking actually about the guns that factual have the lowest recoil, that they're easiest to beam. These are the no recoil guns for the people out there that do struggle with recoil, that do struggle to control, and that they're looking for the easiest guns to beam, the easiest guns to shoot. How good are they? What builds are they going for? How much are they no recoil? We're going to show you the builds. We're going to show you the recoil. We're going to show you how to control that certain recoil on that certain gun. Let's start with the Captain Obvious one, the Krig 6. The Krig 6 is still an absolute beamer. You have the mil-spec barrel on with the agency suppressor, field agent grip, 45 round mag, and the actual 3 arms. And I do use this special sight for it. So with this reticle, with this attachments, the gun is just really still a no recoil beamer. Yes, they did nerf the damage, but if you do have your problems to control your shots, there's no easier gun out there to beam in a straight line. The Krig, no matter what distance we're talking about, that gun, it's just, I don't even have to move my mouse. It's just what it is, right? Like literally, the recoil in itself is like nothing. Like this is the base recoil if you just beam the gun away. There's just nothing happening in it. Like you can beam that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meter, no matter what distance, the Krig is fantastic. And when we're going for this, and absolutely no recoil. Yes, they nerfed the damage, which was necessary. No, the recoil is still absolutely fantastic. Then there's always an old accomplice we can fall back to, and that is the Grau 556. The Grau itself, let's just get beamed away. Obviously, in comparison to the Krig, you got to do a little bit more to control the recoil. But even though you get to do more to control the recoil, on any distance, you see, the Krig doesn't really move. I mean, the basic recoil of the Krig is pretty much also just a very simplistic, that's it. I mean, the gun doesn't even go left and right. The gun just goes up. So you can just hold it down. And if you want to alternate it a little bit, if you want a little bit bonus zoom, you could also go from the standard monolithic BLK optic Tempest Archangel Commander 4-grip 60 round mag build to a candid hybrid. And with a candid hybrid, you have a bunch of varied scopes to then beam even more precise on distance better. And yes, the Grau's TDK is obviously not top 10 tier, but it is still good considering that you hit every single shot. I mean, genuinely, like people laugh about the Grau and people laugh about Grau users, but the reality is you just don't miss a shot no matter what. Once you're on the head, you're on the head and people go down. And now there's something that a lot of you freak out about. But if you put on Modern Warfare guns, a lot of them, actually Compensator, some get turned into really freaking no recoil beamers. The most important part is that you choose one that has a great base bullet velocity, because not all of them have one. For example, the AMAX has a shitty bullet velocity. The XM4 has a good bullet velocity. And the thing is, with the Compensator, for example, yes, there is a bit of scope shake, but all in all, your recoil is fairly minimal. I mean, no matter what you beam on which distance, your gun is just really pinpoint on point, and you just beam away like it's nothing. And that on any distance, really. I mean, we do have some shake in, and I would not, in comparison to the Krig, call that no recoil, but not every gun, end of the day, can be the Krig. That being said, though, you do not have zero problems actually holding this on any opponent on any distance. Yes, the XM4 is already fairly a beamer. Yes, the M4A1 is already fairly a beamer with a monolithic suppressor on, but a Compensator just adds 27% less recoil. That's quite significant. Now I want to talk about a special nut job, and that's the RAM 7. We all know when you're shooting the RAM 7, the recoil is not crazy, but it does pull off to the left, and a lot of people are not used to that. So when they're trying to control recoil and it constantly pulls to the left, they're going to be like, what the fuck? Why are you pulling constantly to the left and not to the right? So you got to actually compensate that by pulling to the right. But the RAM 7 itself is very easy to beam. But the most important thing about the RAM 7 is, as soon as you mount that gun, it actually does have zero recoil. Let me demonstrate that here on... Let me demonstrate that here. So you could do this, right? Standard beams, control that, fine. But if you really mount the RAM 7, you don't even have to try anymore. And that is something that the RAM 7 has for days. Like, it doesn't matter on which distance, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 500 meters. Like, you want to shoot like someone on Narnia up here. no problem. You mount that, you beam. Not every gun has that, especially the Cold War guns are not so good on mounting often, whereas a lot of the Modern Warfare guns profit from it so much. And for me, this is the true no recoil, because if I see someone running on 200 meters, I mean, I'll mount. And for example, the C58, if you mount that, especially with the 4x, it doesn't have the advantage anymore that, for example, the Ram 7 has in comparison. So it's quite crazy how well the Ram 7 can do on that. And that makes it, for me, one of the top 10, top tier, top super no recoil beamers. Let's go through the loadouts and then talk a little bit more about the no recoil guns in the game. That would be the Krig 6. Followed up by the Grau. The Grau goes with the Archangel barrel, but technically the Nexus is better. Practically, the Archangel gives you a little bit more recoil control, 2%, a little bit more bullet velocity, 3%. So it's minimalistically better, but we're talking about no recoil guns, so you might as well use the most no recoil you can. With the Commando foregrip and then the 60 round mag. Technically, you could also, instead of the Commando foregrip, slap on a Ranger to make it even feel more no recoil. But you do ruin the ADS time, so it's not like only about how low can you get the recoil, it's also how is the gun still feasible and manageable. Same goes for the M4, the Grenadier. Same goes for the M4A1. The Culver's Custom Marksman is minimally worse than the Grenadier, but better in ADS time. But the Grenadier is just the perfect no recoil beamer. So this is how most of the people do actually play the gun straight away. But in my opinion, if you do actually change the monolithic suppressor for a compensator and don't care about popping up on the map, which is really not that big of a thing. I mean, we have whole videos on monolithic versus compensator. You do turn this truly into some fun no recoil beamer. So if you're trying to have some fun, if you're trying to do something new, if you want to try this out in Plunder, give it a go with the compensator. Yes, there is some of the scope shake because the compensator gives you a minus of aiming stability that the monolithic suppressor doesn't give you, and therefore the shake kind of increases a little bit, and that's what you really feel. You could also replace the Commando through a Ranger foregrip, and it will feel a little bit less. But realistically, this is a very fun build that you can really pinpoint precision laser beam with. I'm such a big fan of the XM4 in general, and I highly vouch for this and recommend you to try this out. And then if we're talking about the Ram 7, it has really one long-range build. The standard Ranger, foregrip, Commando, then with the 50 round mag and VLK optic build. The fun part is, yes, you can go for bonus magnification easily on this with the Candid Hybrid or the Cronen 2x2 Elite, whichever one of those you do prefer. But you also don't have to do that because the gun is really good in 10, 20, 30, 40 meters. And then on range, you can just mount it. You don't need the bonus magnification. You just mount and beam away like an absolute laser man. You can technically try out using a compensator here too, and or swapping the Commando foregrip for a Ranger foregrip to have an even better recoil control. But this is already good off to go as it is. You don't need it. With the Commando foregrip, you should be perfectly off. But the Ranger foregrip would definitely help you a little bit more. And then you can obviously beam with it as mounted. Absolutely super perfect. Now, I know there are many other guns that do have low recoil, and definitely drop in the comments below, what are your personal no recoil gun? Where do you feel the most laser beam with? I know a lot of you might be on controller, they may be on mouse and keyboard, they have a Cronus Zen, they have a Cronus Max, whatsoever. But what is for you the no recoil beamer? For example, the Finn. The Finn is one of these guns that if you do play it in a certain way, especially without the adverse barrel, it has literally zero recoil. That thing is a laser beam, an absolute laser beam. Problem is obviously the damage and no headshot multiplier that you can't land super spacious, awesome kills. Other guns too, the Farah is a laser beam too, but sometimes I feel on range, I don't like it. And especially the mounting on the Farah doesn't feel as cool as the Ram 7 mounting feels. So what is your personal no recoil beamer? Where are you brilliating the most with? The Milano, for example, if you play that with a 3x, that gun has zero recoil. So drop that in the comments below. Show us what you have. We might put your piece in the next video. But this is my top no recoil guns that I do enjoy playing tremendously. I think I would put the Ram 7 really on the tippity-toppity because it's good shooting, it's good mounting, and it's good overall with movement, ADS time, and everything. And it just has a very good, decent time to kill, and it's a dangerous madness on the battlefield. The Ram 7 is, I think, one of the all-time good guns that has been throughout every single season. If you would have been a Ram 7 player since Season 1 and you're now with Season 5, you know, after multiple Season 1, Season 6, Season 1 resets, you would still be very good off to go because the Ram 7 is brilliant. And that's it. Borderline, /D, clippity-clappity. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hopefully enjoying the no recoil video and you didn't just mark it up after seeing the thumbnail. Also, if you stayed so long, piece of question for you. How are you liking the new thumbnails? We're trying to change up the game a little bit because my thumbnails weren't popping that much on YouTube. So we'll see to get them better. But what do you think about that? Wish you a fantastic good day. Take care. Enjoy these builds and have a great one in Verdansk.